So in our latest video looking at algebra, we'll be focusing on how to form and solve equations. Now there will be a link in the description below of a blank version of all the example questions that we go through for you to either try beforehand watching this video or for you to complete while watching this video. Now, as mentioned, there are a copy of these questions that I will be going through in the description below if you are wanting to have a go at these before we go through the answers, or if you would like to work alongside us. So in terms of the first question, now some of these questions are kind of cut and pasted from the previous video looking at writing expressions. However, it's important that obviously most times you do have a B and C part of the question where it then goes in from it writing expressions to solving equations. So in terms of this particular question, it says that Alistair is 3 years older than Simon and Simon is now X years old. Write down Alistair's age in terms of X. So here we've got two people. So let's just pick a appropriate colour. So here we've got Simon and we've got Alistair. And it says that Simon is X years old and Alistair is 3 years older. So therefore Alistair's age is going to be X plus 3. Now for part B it says that their total ages is 29 years. And it says write down the equation in X. So if the total ages, so the total ages is basically Simon's age plus Alistair's age. And so if we translate that, what we've got is Simon's age, which is X, plus Alistair's age, which is X plus 3. And it says in the question that it's worth they're a combined total of 29 years. So if I now simplify the right hand side, so if I simplify this, I get 2x plus 3 equals 29. And if I flip those two things around, I get my final answer of 2x plus 3 equals 29. Now for part C then says solve the equation to find out the value of x. So in other words, what we are doing is we are finding Simon's age. So even though this question does say find x, it could easily have been rewritten to find the value of Simon's age or even Alistair's age. So from this we've got the equation of 2x plus 3 equals 29. So here we take away the 3. So I've got 2x equals 26 and then divide by 2. Again, all of these disappear, so I'm left with x equals 13. So there I've solved the equation, but as a bonus, if it asked me to work out Simon's age, then Simon is 13 and Alistair, who is 3 years older, will therefore be 16 years old. And there are the answers. So looking at this next question, it says that a cream cake costs X pence. A chocolate cake costs 50 pence more than a cream cake. Write down in terms of X the cost of one cream cake. So here we've got a cream cake and that costs X. So a chocolate cake, which costs 50 pence more, is going to be X plus 50. Now if I wanted to convert that into pounds, then that would be X plus 0.5. And that would be in terms of pounds, whereas this X plus 50 is in terms of pence. So in terms of writing down the cost of one chocolate cake, it's going to be X plus 50, and that's in pence. Or I could write it as X plus 0.5, and that's going to be in pounds. So either of any of those two answers, although as it's mentioned in pence, I'll probably go for the first answer of X plus 50. Now the second part then says 3 cream cakes and 1 chocolate cake cost £4.30 in total. Form an equation in X and solve it to find the cost of 1 cream cake. Now again, basically what it's asking me to do is find the value of X. So going on from this, well, let's have a look at the key components. So I'm looking at 3 cream cakes and 1 chocolate cake, and it comes up to a total of £4.30. Now because I'm dealing in pounds, I need to make a decision. Do I want to work in pence like I've used in part A, or do I want to work in pounds? Now I'm going to split this question up and show you how we can work in both. So this is dealing with pence and this is going to deal in pounds. Now dealing with pence, a cream cake costs X and chocolate cake is X plus 50. And it says we're buying 3 cream cakes, that's going to be 3x, plus 1 If I just put brackets around these, and I've got 3 lots of x plus 1 cream cake, which is x plus 50, and that comes up to, now £4.30 in pence is 430. So I'm going to write 430. Then simplifying this left hand side, I get 3x plus 50 equals 430. Then simplifying it again, I get 4x plus 50 equals 430. Take the 50 over by taking it away, and I get 4x equals 380, and then divide by 4, and I get that x equals, and that's going to give me a value of, now again, if it's non-calculator, I just have to work it out. So I've got 380 goes non, goes 9, remainder 2, and that's going to be 95. So the cost of a cream cake is 95 pence. Now again, if I was working in pounds, then the cream cake would equal x, and the chocolate cake would equal x plus 0.5. So again, I've got £4.30 is what 3 cakes cost, so it's going to be 3x plus x plus 0.50 equals 4.30. Now join this up, I get 4x plus 0.5 equals £4.30, and you can see that's very, very similar to this line that I had here. And I've got 4x equals, taking the 0.5 out to the side, I get 3.8, and then x equals, taking the 4 over by dividing, I get 0.95, so x equals, in pounds, the same amount. So it's always worth just double checking, making sure you know whether you're working in pence, when you're working in pounds. Now in this particular question didn't specify whether I wanted to work in pence or pounds, so either of those would be fine. As long as you get the answer of 95 pence, it's going to be, you'll get full marks for it. So let's have a look at another question. It says that ice lollies cost x pence and ice creams cost 90 pence each. It says write down the total of 3 ice lollies and 1 ice cream comes up to £2.85. Write an equation in x. So here we've got 3 ice lollies, and 3 ice lollies will cost x pence, so that's going to be 3x. And a nice one ice cream costs 90 pence. So here I've got, right hand side, I've got 3x plus, now because this is written in pounds, I'm going to write the ice cream cost in pounds as well. So that's going to be 0.9 equals £2.85. Now it's really important that you don't write 90 pence. You don't have to include the units, because again, you don't really want to include units when you're dealing with algebra, because obviously you've got units which are written in letters and you're already using letters in terms of equation, so that there would be the final answer. Now if you were to write it in pence, it would be 3x plus 90 equals 285, which still would be absolutely fine, but again, you just need to make a decision. Am I working in pence or am I working in pounds? So in terms of the next one, we've got to solve the equation. So I pick one of the two that I want to work with. So again, if I split it up, I'll show you how we both get the same answer. So if we've got 3x plus 0.9 equals £2.85, then I take away the 90 and I'm left with 3x equals £1.95, and then I divide by 3, which gives me an answer of, and again, I could use a calculator if it was on a calculator paper, so I'll get 0, carry the 1, and that becomes 665, so that's going to be 0.65, and there is my final answer in pounds. So that would be the cost of 1 ice lolly. And again, if I was dealing with pence, then it would be 3x plus 90 equals 285. Take away the 90, so I'm left with 3x equals 195. Divide by 3, and I get x equals 65. And then write down the units, and there is absolutely spot on. So that'd be the price of 1 lolly. So again, it's really important that you do include the units. You don't leave your answer as 0.65, because whoever's marking it needs to know whether you talk about 0.65 pounds, which is the correct answer, or 0.65 pence, which might not make much sense in real life terms. But again, what is it? Because you need the units to work with it. And likewise, if you wrote the answer as 65, or you're talking 65 pounds, or you're talking about 65 pence, 65 grand, who knows? So you need to make sure you include the units. So moving on to the next question, it says that Rebecca, Chen and Ian are cousins. Rebecca is X years old, Chen is 4 years older than Rebecca, and Ian is 6 years younger than Rebecca. So let's have a look and just abbreviate each of these. So we've got Rebecca, we've got Chen, and we've got Ian. Now if Rebecca is X years old, now Chen is 4 years older, so that's going to be X plus 4. Now it's not going to be 4X because that'd be 4 times as old, just 4 years. So you just got to add on whatever Rebecca's age is. And Ian is 6 years younger, so it's going to be take away 6. Now, if you're not too sure about how that works, then just imagine that Rebecca was 10 years old. Well, if Chen is 4 years old, and they'll make him 14, and Ian is 6 years younger, that will make him 4. So again, mess around with the numbers, and then soon you'll have a pattern. But remember, all you got to do is think to yourself, what am I doing to Rebecca's age to get the new age? And you'll have these 3 variations. Now it says that in the next part that the total of the 3 ages is 40 years old. So the total is where you add up all of these numbers. So what I've got is I've got X, which is Rebecca's, Chen, which is X plus 4, plus Ian's, which is X minus 6, and that comes up to a total of 40 years old. So from this, and simplifying it, I've got X plus X plus X, which is 3X, and then I've got 4, take away 6, which is minus 2, and that equals 40. So if I take away the 2, I get 38. And I should take away 2, not write 38. That's what I was going for. So here we add 2, in which we get 3x equals 42. And so x equals, and then 42 divided by 3 is going to give me 114. So that means that Rebecca's age, now because it's asking me to use algebra to work out the ages of the 3 cousins, I've got to write down how old each person is. So Rebecca is going to be 14 years old, and Chen will be 4 years older than Rebecca, so that's going to be 18 years old. And finally, Ian, who is 6 years younger than Rebecca, will therefore be 8 years old. And there is our final answer. Then moving on to the next question, it says that a large can of beans is X pence. A small can costs 6 pence less than a large can. Write down in terms of X the cost of a small can of beans. So X, if it's 6 pence less, it's just going to be minus 6. Now it then says that 4 large cans and 1 small can of beans cost a total of 89 pence. So here we've got a large can. So if I just write down a large equals X and a small equals X minus 6. I'm just going to put that in brackets. So I've got 4 large cans, so that's going to be 4x, plus 1 small can, which is X minus 6, comes up to a total of 89 pence. I just need to make sure that my 6 is in pence and so is the total. Obviously if it was in pounds, then I need to convert one or the other. So here I've got 5x minus 6 equals 89. So I've got 5x equals 95, and then all I've got to do is then divide 95 by 5, so I get 1, remainder 4, that's going to be 19, so x equals 19. And so therefore the cost of a large can of beans equals 19 pence. And again, just as a bonus, a small can would therefore cost, oh, not pounds, that's going to be a ridiculous large amount. It's going to be 6 pence less, which is 13 pence. So again, that might be a bit of a bonus, but it's always important you read the questions carefully. You don't need to do extra, but basically the answer to this is 19 pence. So looking at this next question, it says that to hire a bicycle, Jack pays £20 deposit plus £3 an hour. He hires the bicycle for H hours. Write down a formula for the amount of P in pounds Jack pays. Now for this, it's asking me for a formula. Now the definition of a formula is basically where you've got one letter of the subject and you've got multiple letters in the entire equation. So looking at this, if I get a different colour pen, so it's £20 deposit plus £3 times every hour. Now if I put this in terms of algebra, so the total amount, which is P, and all I need to do now is write this using algebra. So here I've got 3 times every hour plus a £20 standing charge. So my actual formula is going to be P equals 3H plus 20. And again, I need to make sure I write P equals because it has asked me for a formula, not an expression. Now for part B, it then says Jack pays £38 to hire the bicycle. Write down an equation and solve it to find the number of hours in which he hires the bicycle. So here what we've got is that 38 equals P. So all I need to do is substitute that into this. So I've got 3H plus 20 equals 38. So what thing I need to do is take away the 20. And so I'm left with 3H equals 18. And then get rid of the 3 by dividing by 3. In which then I get H equals 6. So he hires the bike for 6 hours. And that's what, there we go, that's what the answer means. So moving on to the next question, which again is very, very popular when it comes to exams now. It says all the lengths in the equation are in centimetres. The perimeter of the quadrilateral is 87 centimetres. Write down an equation and solve it to find x. Now to work out the perimeter, what I need to do is pick a point and then work out, add up all the sides until I get back to that original point. So here I've got that the perimeter is equal to x plus 2x minus 11 plus x plus 15 plus x plus 8. And so there all I'm doing is adding up the 4 sides. So now if I simplify this, I've got x plus 2x, which is 3x, plus 4x plus 5, so I've got 5x. And then looking at the numbers, well, I've got minus 11 plus 15, which is positive 4, plus 8, which is 12. So here what I've got is I've now got my equation or my formula. Now it tells me that the perimeter is 87. So here that P equals 87. So what I've got is I've got 5x plus 12 equals 87. So again, the first thing I want to do is take away the 12, which I end up with, and that's going to be 75. So 5x equals 75. Then I divide by 5. So that gives me an answer of x equals 15 centimetres, and there is my final answer. Now moving on to the next question, it says form and solve an equation to calculate this. Now it doesn't actually tell me what those 3 things actually add up to, unlike the previous questions. However, what these 3 things are angles, and also what I can also see is that they are angles inside a triangle. Now one thing we know or should know, that angles inside a triangle, if I add them all up, should add up to 180. So if I add up all 3 angles, I've got 2x minus 10 plus x plus 22 plus x. They should all add up to 180. Now from this, if I simplify this left hand side, I've got 2x plus 1x plus another x, which gives me 4x, and I've got minus 10 plus 22, which is plus 12, and that adds up to 180. Now there I have formed my equation. So now what I need to do is now go on to solve it. So again, first thing I want to do is get rid of everything that's being added, subtracted. So I take away the 12, so it equals 4x equals, and it's going to be 168. The next thing I then need to do is divide by 4, in which I get a final answer of how many 4s go into 16. That's going to be 4, so it's going to be 42, and it's going to be degrees. Now, if a question asks me to then work out what each of the angles are going to be, well, this angle here would be 42. This angle here would be 42 plus 22, which is 64 degrees. And this angle here is going to be 42 times 2 minus 10. 42 times 2 is 84. Take away 10 is 74. And there is my final answer. So if a question did ask you to work out each of the angles, then all you need to do is, with your x value, substitute it in and work out what the 3 are. Moving on to the next question, again very, very similar to the one we've just done. So here it says that the angle of the triangles of ABC are x, x plus 22 and x plus 41. Form an equation and solve to find the value of x. So here I've got one angle, which is x plus 41, which is the second angle, plus x plus 22, which is the third angle, all add up to 180. So simplifying this, I get 3x plus 63 equals 180. So 3x taking away the 36 equals, and it's going to be 117. So then divide it by 3, in which I get x equals, and again, you haven't got a calculator handy or it's on a non-calculator paper, just means I'm going to have to use long division to work it out. So I've got 3, and that becomes 9, so x equals 39 degrees. And again, just always double check your answer to your question to see if it's asking you to work out any individual angle, but we get the value of x equals 39. Again, moving on to the next one. So this one is we've got angles inside a quadrilateral. So what we need to do is basically all 4 of these angles need to add up to 360. So all angles add up to 360 inside a quadrilateral. So what I've got is I've got 3x minus 8 plus 2x plus 15 plus x plus 10 plus x all add up to 360. So simplifying all of this, well, I've got 3x plus 2x plus x, which equals 7x. And I've got minus 8 plus 15, which is 7, plus 10, which is 17. And that adds up to 360. Now from that, all I've then got to do is now go on to solve this. So I get 7x equals, and it's going to be 343. So then all I've then got to do is divide 343 rather, divide that by 7. So again, I've got 3, 4, 3, and then so I've got, doesn't go into 7s, goes into 4 times, remainder 6, goes in 9 times, so x equals 49 degrees. So moving on to the next one. Again, it says the diagram shows a pentagon. The sides of each side is marked on the diagram. The perimeter is 40 centimeters. So it says show that 9x plus 4 equals 40. So again, working out the perimeter, we're starting this side and going in a clockwise direction. I get x plus 3x plus x plus 2 plus 2x minus 3 plus 2x plus 5 adds up to 40 centimeters. So again, simplifying all of this and counting all the x's, I get 9x, adding the numbers, simplifying it, so I've got plus 2, take away 3, plus 5 equals 4, and that gives me what they've actually asked me to prove. The next question then says to go on and solve it. So I've got 9x plus 4 equals 40, take away the 4, in which I get 9x equals 36, divide by the 9, in which I get x equals, and it's going to be 4. So from this, what we then need to do is work out the longest side of the pentagon. So if x equals 4, then this side is going to be 4 centimeters. This is going to be 3 times 4, which is 12 centimeters. This side is going to be 4 plus 2, which is 6 centimeters. This is going to be 2 times 4, which is 8, take away 3, which is 5 centimeters. And this side here is going to be 2 times 4, which is 8, plus 5, which is 13 centimeters. So the length of the longest side is going to be 13 centimeters, and that is this side here. So moving on to the next question, it says that a box contains 6 bottles of wine. 1 bottle of wine weighs W kilograms. The box weighs 1 kilogram less than a 1 bottle of wine. And so the question says show that the total weight in kilograms of the 2 boxes with 6 bottles of each is 14W minus 2. So 1 bottle equals X, then 6 bottles is going to be 6x. Now if 1 box is 1 kilogram less than a bottle, then that's going to be x minus 1. So then using these two amounts for 1 box, so here we've got 1 box which is 6x plus, and then we've got the box plus another 6 bottles and another box, and simplifying all of this we get 14x minus 2, or 14w I should say, and let's just cross that out. Now if you were to write x instead of w's like I've done, like I said, it really should say w. In all honesty, that is a mistake that I've made, so let's just emphasize that by putting it in a different color. Or we should be writing it with W, so there is our final answer. Now the next part then says that the total weight of the two boxes is 19 kilograms. So 14W take away 2 equals 19. So from this we need to add the 2. And so we get 14W equals 21. And then we're going to divide by 14, which gives me an answer of W equals, and it's going to be 1.5 kilograms. So that's the weight of one bottle of wine. So one bottle equals 1.5 kilograms. Now it also says to work out the weight of, or it does actually just say, if you want to work out the weight of one box, so as a bonus, one box would weigh 1 kilogram less, which would be half a kilo, but it doesn't ask me for that, so that would be a bonus. But that there is my final answer. Now with this next question, I'll class this one as being more of a higher topic, only because of the complexity of how the question is written and the fact that you need to understand it rather than the ability to then go on to answer it. So in this it says tickets for a concert cost either £10 or £15. 300 people attended the concert. X people paid £15 for their ticket. Write down an expression in X for the amount of money taken for the £10 tickets. Now for this one, it's a case of we're looking for the amount of money taken by the £10 ticket. So this is going to be for this. Now the first thing we need to do is, well, if there were X amount of people who paid £15 for their ticket, then what we need to do is we need to subtract whatever X is from 300. So it would be 300 minus X paid £10. So therefore the answer for this particular question is going to be 10 times the amount of people, which is 300 minus X. And then using the rules of algebra, that's going to be 10 300 minus X. And if I expand the brackets out, I get 3000 minus 10x, and there is my final answer for the first bit. It then says the 300 people paid 3,950 in total for their tickets. Write down an equation in X and solve it to find out how many people paid £15. So for this, basically what it's asking me to do is to solve for X. Now in terms of the total cost, well, I've got X people who paid £15, that's going to be 15x, plus the total of people who paid for the £10 tickets, so that's going to be 3,000 minus 10x, and that comes up to a total of 3950. Now collecting and simplifying this left hand side, what I get is I've got 5x plus 3000 equals 3,950. Well, if I take away the 3000, I'm left with 5x equals 950, and then all I've then got to do is divide by 5, and 950 divided by 5 is going to give me 190. So then x equals 190. So how many people paid for the £15 tickets? The answer would be 190 people. And there we go. For the next question, now this one again is a very, very popular one. It says that number multiplied by 4 add 10 is twice the amount as the same number multiplied by 3 add 2. Now for this, we're going to look at it in terms of scale. So looking at the first aspect of this, which is a number which we're just going to call x because we don't know what that number is. It says that it's multiplied by 4 and add 10. So what's that going to look like? Well, that's going to look like 4x plus 10. Now it then says that another number, which I'm just going to do in a different highlighter, that the same number multiplied by 3 plus 2, which again if I write that down, so I've got 3x plus 2, and this side is twice the size, so this is twice as big. So in order for things to balance, and that's what you need in an equation, now if the left hand side is twice as big, I need 2 lots of the right hand side for it to balance. So what I need to do is I need to double this, and now they will both equal the same amount, because if one is twice the size, I need 2 of the smaller ones for it to balance. And this is where an area that usually comes up, because 2 is linked with this equation, where it says twice and it's linked to this. Well, actually you need to add the 2 or multiply the 2 for the other side of the equation, if that makes sense, and hopefully it does. So from this, I've got 4x plus 10 equals, and expanding the brackets, I get 6x plus 4. Then taking the smaller x to the other side, I end up with 10 equals 2x plus 4. So again, just taking away 4x from both sides. Let's just make that a little bit neater. So I'm doing 4. So here I'm taking away 2x from both sides. And then if I take the 4 over to the other side by taking away 4, then I end up with 6 equals 2x. So then x equals 3. And there is my final answer. So that is the number that was originally thought of or present in this particular question. Now moving on to our final example, which I'm glad you'll be glad to hear. Let's have a look at this particular question. It says Abigail and James each have the same amount of money. Abigail gives James a quarter of her money. James then gives Abigail a quarter of his total amount of the money. Who has more money? Justify your answer. Now in this particular question there is no mention of algebra, so technically we don't need to use it. So what I could do is think about choosing a number that represents both Abigail's and James' starting amount. Now because you're dealing with quarters, what you want to try and do is use a big amount. So for example, let's say that they both have £100. So let's say Abby equals £100. So therefore James will have £100. Now Abigail first gives a quarter of her money. So a quarter of 100 equals £25. So then what's going to happen is Abigail will then have £75 left and James will therefore have £125. Now James then gives a quarter of his amount, so a quarter of 125 is going to be so 0.25 times 125 is going to be £31 and 25 pence. I'm probably thinking I really should have picked nicer numbers. So now Abigail is going to have £75 plus 31.25 and James is going to have 125 minus 25. So Abigail's final amount will be a total of £106 and 25 pence. And James is going to have, so Abigail, and James is now going to have 125 minus £31.25, and that comes up to a total of £93.75. So your final answer would be that Abigail has more. And there you go. Now, if the question you might think that's kind of cheating, but you should really get full marks because you have justified your answer. Obviously you've picked an amount. An easy amount may have been, let's say, £40, and you go from there, but I'm guessing, assuming that this would be a calculator exam question, so you could use your calculator to work it out. But I would say if you did the same with 40, as long as you're showing that Abigail, who has more, you're going to get the right answer as long as your maths is correct. Now using algebra, and this might get a little bit more confusing, and what we just need to do is replace the numbers with letters. So Abigail is going to have X amount and James is also going to have X amount. So the first thing I've got to do is work out a quarter of X. So a quarter of X equals a quarter X. Now to work out how much Abigail has, that's going to be X minus a quarter X, which is actually going to be 3/4 X. Now for James, what I've got to do is I've got to add a quarter. So 1x plus a quarter x is going to equal 5/4x. Now from this, what I've then got to do is work out what a quarter of 5/4x is going to be. Now in this, it's just a quarter times 5/4x, which is going to be 5/16x. So that's how much James is going to give. So this Abigail's amount is going to be 3/4 x plus 5/16x, and James's amount is going to be 5/4x minus 5/16x. Now Obviously, it seems like we're going way off a tangent, but let's try and work this out. So we're adding fractions, so we've got to make sure the denominators are the same. So here, 3 over 4 in terms of 16, we'll multiply both numbers by 4, so it's going to be 12 over 16x plus 5 over 16x, which gives me a total of 17 over 16x. Now Jameson's amount, again, getting a common denominator, multiplied by 4, so that's going to be 20 over 16 minus 5 over 16x for both of those, leaves me with 15 over 16x. Now, in terms of comparisons, I can cancel the x's because they've both got x's, and you can see here which fraction is more. Abigail's is, so therefore Abigail has more. And that would be proving this question algebraically. However, because the question didn't specify that it had to use algebra, there is a chance that if you just picked an amount, a nice amount, gone through the maths with your calculator or without, you should show and prove that, or justified our answer, so to say, that Abigail does have more money if this situation does become true.